black community in the United Kingdom, wonderful people in the main. They've got their problems, they've got their thugs, just the same as we've got our thugs amongst the white community. And in many cases, of course, the communities are integrated. So I can't get terribly excited about it if all my colleagues in Africa and other parts of the world don't get excited about it. It is a problem somewhere, in some places. The United States are having problems at the moment with it. Again, a resurgence. But generally speaking, is the indigenous countries of black people. They find it very strange that we get into fights about it. Anyway, there's one here called Lovely Afternoon Breeze, and that is by it's by the 126ers, so let's give them a good run this morning. Here we go. Lovely Afternoon Breeze. Wow. Lovely afternoon breeze. Now, isn't that wonderful? And I thought that the day was going along very swimmingly. Guess what? A bloody boss has been on the line. In fact, she's watching me now, checking to see if I've actually gone to work. She's a real bugger, this lady, you know. She really is. She keeps my nose to the grindstone all the time. And talk about bullying. You know, I sort of try to look pathetic and sort of say, look, I'm 80, Eni. I'm 80. You're not going to bully me this morning. She just grins, a cherubic grin, and gets on with it. Good morning, Eni. Good morning. I am at work. You'll be pleased to know. Will you please mark my timesheet down as positive and so on? And then you can go and listen to me just to make sure that I'm not telling porkies. Well, there we go, everybody. And I was just talking to you about being in Nigeria and how the little black boys used to come around black boys and girls used to come around the Jeep, sell us bananas and milk, but at the same time fascinated because there was a white man in the vehicle. And the one little boy he just wanted to know, and he put his hands in with this big grin, and he rubbed my hand just as if the white would come off. Oh dear, I had some wonderful times. But we started off by talking about the fact that getting in from Abuja airport can sometimes be dangerous, and that we had armed guards on some occasions. And indeed, when we were up towards Damaturu, because Damaturu itself is Sharia law, and perhaps I should tell you about the time that I actually got a beer in Damaturu, because my colleague said, Mr. Keith, would you like to go and have a beer? And I said, Sharia law, where are we going to get a beer? We'll pick you up at 7 o'clock, they said. So they picked me up. And Damataroo has electricity from generators in the main market street, but after that it's pitch black. So we bumped over what seemed to be an open piece of land, and we came into... I was aware that we were going through some walls, or a door in some walls, and then we got out, and there was a flagpole with concrete, and we sat there with our feet up on the concrete, sipping beer, surrounded by very, very pleasant Nigerians who were chatty, and really very, very pleasant evening. On top of which is God decided to give us a display because there was an African thunderstorm. Now, many African thunderstorms are different to ours because the lightning goes from cloud to cloud. It doesn't come to the ground. And to see lightning flashing from two thunderclouds is absolutely fascinating. It really is. I mean, it's one of those wonders of the world. It's a bit like the Northern Lights, which I'm also privileged to have seen several times. But we sat sipping beer and watching the thunderstorm give us a wonderful display, apart from which there was very friendly chat. So we got back to what, once again, I would say is laughingly called my hotel. And I said, "Where the hell have we been?" And they laughed. And they said we were just in the police sergeant's mess. The only place in town that you could actually get a drink, Sharia law, was with the police. We weren't going to be raided, that's for sure. Oh, such is life when you trot around the world. Such is life. But I have to say also, and sometime I'll give you a description of the hotel that I stayed in, if you could call it a hotel. One of the great delights of the hotel was, though, because I'm an early riser, I would get up about 5 in the morning, and it was almost getting hot by that time. But there were lots of little geckos all stuck to the wall, and they are an intelligent little lizard. You go and talk to them and their eyes follow you, and it's almost as if they know what you're saying to them. So each morning I would go out and I'd have a little chat to a bunch of geckos who would sit there very patiently listening to me. And I mean, they're the only people. I do training, I rant, I do all sorts of things. The little geckos are the only people that have ever listened to me without talking back or telling me to shut up or walking away. They actually didn't get bored with what I had to say. So the lovely little geckos on the walls of the hotel. But during the night, you can hear the squadrons of mosquitoes warming up, all ready to take off because they've got a soft target, right? A white guy. And the mosquito net is there, but they don't take much notice of that. They're ready for the attack. And they wait for the generator to run out of fuel, which it always does at these hotels or anywhere in Nigeria, out in the countryside anyway. The generator runs out of fuel, and so as a consequence all the fans go off and so on and so forth, and that is the moment for the mosquitoes. Squadrons of them. Anyway, I was lying watching the television, and it kept on jumping from channel to channel to channel. And I was really getting fed up with this because I would just get into a story and suddenly it jumped to another channel. So I got out of bed, raced past the squadrons of mosquitoes, dashed into the headquarters of the office, and there was a lovely lady watching television, and she was bored, and she was flipping it from channel to channel, but all the TVs in the hotel were geared from the office, so whatever she wanted to watch, we had to watch. And I said, "What the hell is going on?" And I shocked her so much she fell out of her chair, and I felt so guilty that I had to apologise to her, and so on and so forth. But whatever you want to watch on television is whatever the lady who's the night watch woman is watching. Lots of other things about the hotels there. Absolutely wonderful experience staying there. And I say, well, one thing I must relate, because my clique, if you like, have heard these stories many times, but I haven't broadcast them widely. But when we arrived one Sunday, well, it was a Sunday afternoon, and it was very hot. We'd stayed in Josh overnight, made our way up to Damataroo. And we couldn't find the hotel at first because, first of all, it had got barbed wire and broken glass in the cement and so on and so forth, because it did come under attack from the terrorists, Boko Haram and some of their followers. So we eventually got into the compound and into the office, and there were the staff all asleep. And they struggled to their feet, and they showed us what were laughingly called rooms. And I looked into the shower, and there was one of those, do they call them a rose sprinkler, which would distribute the water in the shower, but no towel. So I went back out to the office, and I said to the chap there, I said, very nice, but I have no towel. Give us a moment, he said. Give us a moment. And what we'll do is we'll wash the towel. And in an hour, you can have the towel. So throughout the entire hotel, there was only one towel. God only knows how many of us. Excuse me. There, I used the cough switch. I love using that cough switch. It shows that I understand technology. But I laid claim to the very first towel that was available on that Sunday afternoon, and I had a shower, and it was wonderful. And that was just so that I was clean enough to go and meet my lovely geckos. Okay, now there's one that is rather sad, actually, and it speaks for those of us, I suppose, who do tend to live alone, and it's called Breakfast Alone. Sorry to be sad, but here we go. Oh dear, it's stuck. Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness me, I'm in trouble with the boss. Oh, am I in trouble with the boss? Don't put such sad things on in the morning, she says. You know, the funny thing is, you see, when I go into the office, if I could go into the office if we were locked down, is what would happen is, once again, that beatific smile would be there, and the heavy boot would be there ready to plant it firmly in my backside and say, don't you ever do that again. But who wrote Breakfast Alone? Breakfast Alone was by Whole Others, a group called Whole Others. But I'm sure that they do other stuff. It wasn't that bad. It just is. I could just see sitting there with a little sausage in the middle of the plate and perhaps a little egg to join it, but no baked beans or nothing to actually mix the juices. It was Mark Twain that said in one of his books on Huckleberry Finn is women like things pretty on the plate. They like things in portions, whereas men like it all mixed up. I'm sure that